So on the regime change thing from Maduro, I've spoken on this in the past. I've done a lot of research on the country. The CIA gave me a lot of information too. I had a conversation with some people in the CIA that were actually active in the country about the logistics within the country, and my assessment is basically the same. That I'm not going to support regime change no matter what. I didn't think it was right with Iraq because Iraq is a disaster now, like complete utter disaster. Syria was again another disaster. Regime change is always bad. It never helps. It never fixes anything. Because if you don't do regime change plus occupation, then you're just creating a power vacuum. You're just creating a power vacuum for another guy to come in and make big promises, to do ethnic cleansing, and then he does ethnic cleansing or something else, or he doesn't tell him he's going to do ethnic cleansing and he still ends up doing ethnic cleansing. We saw this in Yugoslavia, by the way. This is exactly what happened in Yugoslavia. When the Soviet Union pulled out of the area, the UN and NATO decided to say, oh yeah, we'll replace your government, we'll help you rebuild. And they put in pro-UN and pro-NATO people that were just, sycophants, and they did everything the United States wanted, and Yugoslavia just ended up getting genocided. We participated in a genocide there. It was absolutely atrocious. And Bill Clinton, no, is a terrible human being. Maduro, as far as regime change, I don't think it should happen. And it's not because I think he's good for the area. It's just because they need to do it organically. It needs to happen organically for it to be permanent. They need to get up and they need to understand that they can do it. They can overthrow the guy. They can build something better. As far as the country itself, the land is unbelievably wealthy as far as resources go. And it's not just resources. You have plenty of natural gas, plenty of petroleum right there, right on the land, plenty right there, right off the shore. They could offshore facilities, very, 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 very large oil reserves. They're really deep, but they're really large. So the cost to benefit ratio, they would be able to control their output if they had their own country and they didn't have Maduro, Maduro is basically a BRICS nation guy. He's backed by CCP, another one of these gangsters doing the drug dealing thing. He's just a gangster for the CCP and the BRIC nation thing going on. Brazil basically bullies them into submission, tells them what to do and all this other stuff, and they end up doing it because, they're a tiny little nation with almost no military. Which is unfortunate because they shouldn't be subservient to Brazil because natural resource-wise, they are way wealthier, far wealthier. Like, it's unbelievable. Their geographic layout, the way their geography is laid out as well, it's almost ideal for manufacturing of semiconductors and basically processors and stuff like that. They have a great stream, like the clean, pure, cold water that comes out of the mountains and flows right through this valley that is already almost perfectly leveled out in bedrock and everything. They have everything they need right there. It's like right in this area. They could set up a modern state-of-the-art fab plant, start producing semiconductors right there and make a fortune. And they have plenty of fuel oil, plenty of oil and natural gas to build the roads, to run construction and all this stuff, build power plants, build nuclear power plants to make it even more cost effective, or just to fuel it with natural gas power plants or hydroelectric or something of that nature. Like, they have the perfect terrain to build an advanced first world economy in that tiny little country. And of course, since they're allied with the BRICS, they get held back a lot. So they can't really do much about it. As far as saber rattling against them and the drug dealing thing is just a BRIC thing. All the BRICS are involved in it. It's every time I've interacted with anybody from a BRIC country, they're involved in some kind of underworld stuff, whether it be drug dealing, human trafficking, and worse, piracy or some other thing. I've never interacted with anybody that wasn't involved in something of that level or something at that level that wasn't, like their star pupil type thing, where they came over and they had everything handed to them because their government was so proud of them, and it's like they want to have them come over here because of their pride and all this stuff, and sometimes those end up to be spies. And China's terrible with that, but you understand what I'm saying. So I've never met anybody like that. I can't speak for the entire country. I can't speak for the entire world. I can't speak for all the people in the BRIC nations. I definitely can't speak or preach about it from anybody else from another point of view. But from what I understood, that was the guy I spoke to who was in the CIA. He's no longer in the CIA. That was his perspective of them. His perspective of Maduro. The man he's a brutal tyrant. He works for the BRICS almost exclusively. He runs the drug trade down there, and he won't let anybody come in and make use of the natural resources because reasons, I don't know. They're trying to keep the prices high. They're trying to control who has access to what and control the markets directly so they can, only they can sell, only India can sell oil because nobody's buying oil from India except for Russia for some reason. I'm not exactly certain why. I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't looked at India. I don't look at India. I try to stay away from India because the conversation is never pleasant. And it's not that I don't like Indians individually. It's just all the platforms you're going to go look at India with are usually owned by Indians or ran by Indians. And since they are, the moment you start looking up and digging into India, they start attacking you. They either start DDoSing, they start throwing malware in your way, and then they do this whole rabbit hole game with you. This is why I don't like interacting with Indians, because they're like that everywhere. They do that to everyone. And it's impossible to get any headway to prevent them from doing it because they control so much of the tech industry. Or rather, they control so much. They don't control it, they have direct access to the back ends of all these platforms. They have access to Google. If you use Bing, they have access to Bing, and DuckDuckGo is basically a Bing wrapper. There are no search engines you can use, and if you use any of the AI models, they've pretty much infiltrated every one of them, including Grok. So there's not much you can do. Like, they're on every platform, and the Indians are extremely militant about this. And they pretend like they're not, but they are. It's very strange. It's a very, very strange... It's a very strange interaction for a white guy from the United States to have to interact with somebody that's that sensitive and offended by you looking into the economy of India without, being willing to become Indian. It's very strange. Like, I don't want to turn into an Indian just because I looked at the CIA page of your country. And I have looked at the CIA page for your country. And I've also looked at the wanted list of certain organizations when they're looking at who is a criminal in India and is at large in India. And that at large list is, 50 or 60,000 people long. It is a very large list. And we have no idea where any of them are at. They're all felons. Some of them are murderers. Some of them are rapists, serial rapists. Some of them are just scammers. They have scammed millions. Some of them are hackers that have done major hacks or, heists or stuff like that. It's a very long list, and the Indian government doesn't go after anybody, as far as I can tell. They don't arrest anybody. I've never heard of them arresting any of these people because, the way India works is not the way not the way the United States works. The United States actually has way less corruption. We'll just leave it at that. But back on Maduro, I don't think regime change is a thing because we saw what it did to Iraq, and the last thing we need is a few million more refugees eating off of SNAP because eventually Donald Trump's going to leave office, eventually MAGA's going to be gone, and then we have to deal with whatever's left after MAGA, and if the left continues the way they are, it's going to be even more extreme than it is today. It's going to be really, really bad. Because they're going to be mad that they came so close. No matter how far.